Check, check, check. Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned in to How I See It TV, and this is a quick How I See It live. Please remember to like this video, share the link to my channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd, subscribe if you have not done so as yet, and always drop down in the comment section below and let me know how you see things too. Okay, this is a safe space where how you see it and how I see it, they don't have to be the same. Okay? They don't have to be the same. But yay! Candice Dillard-Bassett and Nene Leakes are back. They are back, y'all, within the NBC Universal, world. And I'm excited. I'm hopeful for Nene because we don't know what she's going to bring. I am hearing that the show that Nene is going to be on is the Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip, and that I hear is a working title, so they're not sure if that's even going to be the title of the show. But Nene will be back. Um on Peacock Bravo. And I say it that way because for those of you who have watched The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, then you know that that airs on Peacock, and then the reruns you can watch on Bravo like at a later date if you don't have Peacock. So I'm hopeful when it comes to Nene because we know that the last 3 or 2 seasons that Nene was still on the Real Housewives of Atlanta for, she wasn't the fun, the funny Nene that we were used to, season 1, season 2, season 3, and so on. She was going through a lot. And I'm one of those people because I'm a Nene fan. I gave her grace. I cannot imagine what it is like to have a spouse that you've been with for half of your life, you know, get diagnosed with cancer. You're doing this show. Producers, they're forcing you to do scenes that you're telling them, look, I think, because Nene did an interview, and this is just me, just all over the place. But I recall Nene doing an interview. I don't know if I don't know how recent the interview is, but she did this interview where she talked about the scene in her closet at her house. I think it's I don't remember the name of the group scene that they filmed at Nini's house. I think it's Bywig or something like that. Where all the ladies, they gathered and nobody was wearing wig. I remember Nene had a short cut. Marlo, she had a silk press, I guess, or, her natural hair flat ironed, and she was late. I remember Candy was there, Portia was there, and Portia was pregnant at the time. And this was around the time that Greg Leaks was just diagnosed with cancer, and Nene was going through it. And she was just, I don't know what word to use to describe her behavior at the time, but you can just tell that she was not herself. And Nene did an interview where she talks about that scene, and she says that that very day was when they got Greg's diagnosis back. And she called producers and she told them, listen, I don't think it's a good idea for me to film this scene, you know. And she explained to them her reasons. And they basically told her, look, we don't have anything else planned. You know what? This is on the call sheet for today. We don't have a backup plan. So we have to film this scene. And so they film the scene. We see Nene go off on Marlo. And then Candy and somebody else keeps asking Nene, like, let's go to your closet. Let's go to your closet. And Nene's like telling them no. Nene, she moves to go upstairs with Cynthia. And I recall Nene doing an interview and saying that she told producers the only people she wanted in her room at that time was Cynthia. The other women, they found themselves upstairs in her room. And, she played it off. But then here goes Candy walking up into this woman's closet after she told them don't do it. And Portia too. And I understand that, okay, Portia was pregnant and, Nene was acting very like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in that moment. She ripped the shirt of one of the cameramen. I hear that somebody's tooth got chipped. I think one of the production staff or the cameraman's tooth got chipped or whatever. So Nene was going through it. In those last couple of years that she was on the show, I don't think that she could give it her best because there was so many things going on in her life at that point in time. And perhaps she should have taken a break. She should have been like, listen, I've given y'all years of great content. Like, Nene Leakes is the housewives queen of memes, queens of a lot of phrases that you can repeat, a lot of phrases that live rent free in my brain. Okay. They do when you got the coins, okay, from Puerto Rico, between and her and Claudia Jordan. I said what I said. What else? Oh my God. Ooh, not a white refrigerator. The ghetto. Like, these are some things that, live rent free in my brain. Like, don't let me call Portia. Huh, toot the horn on them, Greg. Toot toot, beep beep. Like, bling bling bling. Bitches is mad. Like, so many. Nene has so many quotable moments from her time on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So many memes that when you go into different comment sections on Instagram or even on TikTok, you will see like little pictures of Nene in the comment section, different gifs or memes or whatever of Nene in the comment section, because she was that iconic. Like, let's be for real. Nene was great TV when she was great. Maybe she got jaded. Maybe she got too full of herself. Maybe there were things happening in her life and she should have taken a step back or just, asked for some time off so that she could go and focus on her husband who was going through cancer at the time. Maybe it was all too much. A lot of people say, oh, Nene got too full of herself. She thought she was the queen. Da, 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 da. And maybe that's true. And maybe it's that plus other things. Like, let's not erase the fact that her husband was going through cancer those last 2 or 3 seasons that she was on the show for. She couldn't give it her all. She was being a caretaker. You know, she was hoping and praying that her husband, doesn't pass away while trying to film a show where people want her to show up and do the most, and she didn't have it. She didn't have the energy for it. So I'm hopeful that Nene is in a better space mentally. It's been a few years since Greg Leaks has passed. May his soul rest in peace. She is dating, you know, her son. At one point he was sick. She said that he's doing, much better now. So I'm hopeful that Nene is in, just a fun headspace where she can show up, whether it's for a cameo, whether it's for a few episodes, we don't know. But I'm hopeful that when we see her on our screens, back on our screens for the first time in how many years, that it will just be the fun, energetic, witty Nene that we came to love. That's what I'm hopeful for. And I know a lot of people felt like, oh my God, Nene will never be back on Bravo. Nene will never be back on um, NBC Universal because of the lawsuit. But I think a lot of people forget that when Nene sued Bravo, NBC Universal, and named Andy Cohen in her lawsuit in 2022, they had different executives at the time. Last year, NBC Universal, and for those of you who don't believe me, you can do a quick Google search. You can do a quick Google search. NBC Universal last year, 2025, they had a complete change of their executives. They have brand new executives running every arm of NBC Universal. Before, it was like a couple of white men. Now, it's some white women and a black woman. It seems like she's of Nigerian descent because of her last name. I had the slides queued up, but then when I went to download them to StreamYard, it wasn't working. But why does the ambulance have to be passing right now? But anyways, so they have new executives. Those executives weren't present when NBC and Bravo were going through their lawsuit with Nene. So I don't think their feelings is as much in it as those other executives who were present for it. They're probably, their ego was bruised, or maybe they wanted to keep sucking it to Nene or whatever, or keep blackballing her. I don't know. But these new women who are the new executive branch of NBC Universal and Peacock, I feel like with all the lawsuits that NBC and Bravo were facing from 2023 into last year, because a lot of people forget, um, Andy Cohen and NBC Universal, they were being sued by several reality TV stars who were making, or who are, because some of those lawsuits are still pending. Um, but some of those people, they had allegations of hostile working environment, retaliation, sexual harassment, sexual assault. So NBC Universal, they were going through it. Nene wasn't the only person who was suing them. And I think probably that saved Nene, because when you have several other people, even racism was also a part of some of these lawsuits. When you have several other people years after Nene suing Andy and suing NBC Universal for the same thing, then when these new executives come in, they have to say, well, we can't hold this over Nene's head, because there seems to be there seems to be something going on here, why all these people were suing this company for similar things. One person in their lawsuit, they made claims that Andy Cohen forced them to take the white lady with him. Like he was partaking in, the white lady with cast members from these shows present. So I don't think Andy Cohen had any, leg to stand on anymore because of some of these lawsuits that he was facing. He no longer had enough power to say, no, I don't want Nene back. And I think that is why we're here. When we heard him on um BravoCon say, the doors cracked open because he and Nene, they've been talking. We knew what that meant. We knew that Nene was coming back in some way, shape, or form. And it might never be the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It might never be we're going to see Nene as a friend of or as a peach holder on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But I'm happy even when Nene was on, I think it was at the Emmys, she was doing like the red carpet or something. Even then, I knew that she was going to be back on Bravo because the Emmys, I don't remember what award show it was, but it airs on NBC and she was doing the red carpet for it. And I said, yep, Nene's back. Because if she's working anywhere in the region of NBC, then we're going to see her back on Bravo. And I just hope that this second chance that Nene is getting, that she will not take it for granted, that she will not come in feeling like this is my house. I built it. Remember, she said, well, Andy Cohen said Real Housewives of Atlanta was the house that Nene built. So I guess, if the boss is saying that, then I can get why you would be big headed. But I hope that she comes back a little bit more humility and with better plans in place. Because let's be clear, we have people like Bethany Frankel who left the Real Housewives of, I think it was Beverly Hills, I don't remember, and she has her Skinny Girl brand and she is making bank on her brand to the point where she was on Shark Tank as a shark investing in other companies. I'm hopeful that this second time around, Nene comes back. She gets, her Bravo check, her Peacock check, NBC Universal check, whoever's paying her. And she utilizes it in a way that she can propel herself to another level in the same way that Bethany did, in the same way that Lisa Vanderpump did. Nene honestly should have had a spinoff a long time ago. The way Lisa Vanderpump is out here with Vanderpump Rules and all these things, that really should have been Nene. Lisa Vanderpump is not that entertaining to watch. Not as entertaining as Nene, that's for sure. And she's out here with multiple, multiple spinoffs. So I don't know who Nene needs to have in her ear. I don't know who she needs to have in her ear right now, who's going to give her the right advice so that this second time around, when we see her on our TV screens, we will know for a fact that Nene is going to be propelling herself into other areas. If she's acting, we're going to see her consistently acting. If she's going to be doing her YouTube, she's going to consistently do that. If she's going to work on having a talk show, we're going to see her being consistent. But I'm happy as a Nene fan that she is going to be back on our TV. And speaking of people being back on our TV, another person who I'm a fan of, Candiace Dillard-Bassett, she is back on TV as part of the Traitors cast. And if you have not been watching Traitors, then you have tonight to catch up on the first 3 episodes because tomorrow, I think they have another 3 episodes that will be airing on Peacock. If you don't have Peacock, then you're gonna have to wait until they have like a marathon on Bravo to see what happened this season, or just check out the clips. But Candiace is back, and Candiace, like Nene, is another polarizing figure, especially in the housewife space. You either love her or hate her, and there's no in between. And so I am excited because I am a Candiace Dillard-Bassett fan. I am a part of the Candy Girl Nation. Okay, I am a part of that nation. I've loved Candace since she came on Potomac, Real Housewives of Potomac, in season 3. I was standing from the first time she got on the screen. Okay, and so the way she was treated. Hey, thank you for listening to bushes. The way she was treated on the Real Housewives of Potomac, for me, it was always unfair. And that's my opinion. And that's a hill that I'm willing to die on. Um, I remember in season 3, Ashley Darby sat on the reunion stage and she said Candace was the least accomplished on the stage. And I said, I know Ashley Forehead Darby is lying. I know that kangaroo restaurant that Ashley had at the time that was failing did not make her feel like she had this big accomplishment under her belt. I know being married to Predator Darby at the time did not have Ashley feeling like she just had these major accomplishments under her belt. Because at the time that Ashley was saying that, Candace, before joining the Real Housewives of Potomac, had worked for the Obama administration in the White House. She worked with the Obama campaign twice. Candace's job in the White House was basically what's the word? Oh my god, I hate when this happens. I'm hitting a blank. She was responsible for going out and recruiting, that's the word, recruiting interns for the White House during the Obama administration. So she would go to different colleges and she would speak and she would recruit different interns. And then when those interns, applied, it was her responsibility to vet them, go through the vetting process, put the names on the desk of whoever needed to get the names, and then those recruits would be selected to be White House interns. That was her job in the Obama administration. She was working in the White House before she joined the Real Housewives of Potomac. After she left the White House, she was crowned Miss she was crowned Miss DC, and then she went on to win the national title of okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, y'all. So yeah, then after she left the White House, she won a national pageant title. Before she worked for the White House, she worked in finance. Her and her mom and her sister, they own a suite of boutiques in Georgia where Candace is actually from. And Candace and her sister, they own a hair extension line. She had all this going on for her before she joined Real Housewives of Potomac. And I know the narrative became, oh my God, Candace is just a spoiled princess living off her parents' money. And that was crazy to me because I always tell people, if you are a fan of The Housewives, if you're a fan of any reality TV show, you need to listen to these people when they're giving interviews. Because if you follow a show that is heavily edited, heavily edited, and you listen to castmates who want to lie and downplay people's accomplishments, and then you follow production who want to be messy and not tell the whole truth in somebody's storyline, because that's the producer's job. Their job is to edit the show down to a version that they feel is going to be entertaining for the watchers. And sometimes that means splicing up the truth. So if you don't listen to these people when they give interviews or when they go live or when they tweet something about themselves, or if you don't listen to content creators who, like myself, who want to give accurate context and who want to tell you the whole truth and not just the version that the show wants you to believe about some of these people, then you will continue on believing a false narrative about a person. And the narrative that was put out there by the show about Candiace when she joined was absolutely untrue. And I've listened to several of Candice's interviews. The girl is over there on LinkedIn. You can go on LinkedIn and read through her resume. Before she joined that cast, she was more accomplished than anybody sitting there. I mean, Ashley said Candice was basically less accomplished than Karen Huger. Karen Huger didn't even go to college. At the time Ashley said that, Karen Huger didn't even have a business. Karen's claim to fame was being married to Ray, who had a tech company and was supposedly the Black Bill Gates. Giselle's Bryant claim to fame was marrying Jamal Bryant, a up and coming, pastor and a speaker within the civil rights movement at the time, the New Age civil rights movement. Robin Dixon, shoot, I don't know how Robin was more accomplished than Candice when all Robin did was marry a basketball player who was cheating on her with every turn. And she lost all their money. And Ashley, all she did was marry an old white man who was wealthy and who in and then she said, "Oh, let me start an Australian restaurant where we're gonna sell kangaroo meat," and that didn't work out. So I didn't understand in that in during and let's talk about Monique, because Monique was a part of that season 2, season 3, when Ashley said Candice was the least accomplished on the stage. All Monique did, she was living in her truck before she was living on the streets in her truck when she met Chris and became his personal assistant while he was engaged to somebody else. Then they started dating and she became the basically the property manager for some of the properties that Chris had. And then she started some oil line, some essential oil line, and had his kids. That's all. So how what I did not understand, and Monique didn't even finish college. So the audacity of Ashley during season 3 to say that dumb stuff and for the people to applaud it and say, "Oh my God, Candice doesn't do nothing. Her parents take care of her." But then refuse to listen to Candice when she would share her life experience, she would share her resume. And there are people to this day who believe that when they met Candice in season 3, Candice had never worked a day in her life. Even though there is public proof, there is photos of Candice working alongside President Obama. There are people who still to this day will say Candice never worked a day in her life when she joined season 3 of Real Housewives of Potomac. I'm a Candice fan. I will continue to be a Candice fan. I've been I've been very consistent when it comes to Candace. Said I love Candace and that she was spoiled and came from money. I love Miss Dorothy. This is my Aquarius. Is the only thing I didn't like was the fight, and I was not Team Monique in that because I felt like Monique was a horrible friend to Candice in season 4, and it just spilled over into season 5. But that's another story. Anyways, y'all, my lunch break is done. So I gotta go. But I just want to say I'm excited to be watching Candace on the Traders. I was excited when it was announced that she was casted. For me, she's doing great so far. I've heard a lot of people say they don't feel like she's a good trader because she's not flying under the radar and she's talking too much. But for me, if Candace wasn't talking, then that alone would be weird and people would start sussing her out as the trader. So I want Candace to continue to be who she is naturally, and that's a talker. I'm just saying. So I'm happy to see Candace back on my TV. I can't wait for tomorrow night's new episodes of The Traders. And I am so, 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 so happy that Nene Leaks is coming back. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, my Jamaican sis, for jumping into the chat. I appreciate that. Until my next live, what good? Bye.